You can have 50,000 followers, thousands of likes, people commenting on everything you post, and still have almost nobody willing to buy from you.
And that's the part creators don't want to hear.
Because we've been trained to think audience growth and business growth are the same thing.
They're not.
And if you've been posting for months, watching the numbers slowly climb, but the money isn't following, the problem might not be your content. You might be building the right audience in the wrong place.
That's a much more uncomfortable problem.
It is, because the argument we're looking at comes from digital strategist Deandra Escobar, who makes a pretty aggressive case that creators and business owners are wasting enormous amounts of time on platforms that were never designed to help them sell.
Although we should put one warning label on this immediately. Escobar runs a LinkedIn content agency. So when someone who sells LinkedIn services tells you LinkedIn is the answer, you should be skeptical.
Absolutely. So forget the sales pitch. Let's look at the mechanism.
Start with TikTok.
Imagine you're selling a $20 t-shirt. Someone is lying in bed scrolling TikTok. Your video appears, they laugh, they tap the link. That can work.
Now replace the t-shirt with a $40,000 consulting contract.
Exactly. Same audience, completely different transaction.
You're trying to sell enterprise software in a nightclub.
And that's the distinction creators miss. It's not just who sees your content, it's what psychological state they're in when they see it. TikTok is extremely good at generating attention, but attention and buying intent are not the same thing.
So what about Instagram?
That's where things get expensive. To compete visually, you're shooting reels, editing constantly, improving lighting, creating pattern interrupts, and trying to maintain a polished feed. And after all of that, where do many high-ticket conversations actually happen?
The DMs.
Which creates a strange situation. You build this elaborate content machine, only to end up messaging people individually.
At that point, you're running outbound sales with a really expensive lobby.
Exactly. And then there's X,
which has almost the opposite problem. X is incredibly good at creating conversation, but the system often rewards friction, arguments, hot takes, and rapid replies.
Great environment for attention, not necessarily a great environment for building the kind of trust required for an expensive purchase.
And here's what most creators get wrong. They look at all three platforms and conclude that they just need more followers.
When the real question should be, what is each follower actually worth to the business you're trying to build?
And that's where YouTube gets interesting.
Because the source doesn't dismiss YouTube at all. It describes YouTube as a warehouse.
I actually love that analogy.
YouTube is incredibly powerful when you already know what people want. You can take validated demand, turn it into searchable videos, build authority, and scale it for years. But if you're still trying to discover what your first customers actually care about, producing a 10-minute video every time you want to test an idea can be painfully slow.
You don't build the warehouse before you know whether anyone wants the product.
Which brings us to LinkedIn, and this is where the argument gets interesting. The source claims LinkedIn has around 1.3 billion users, while only about 3% actively create content.
That's the statistic I'd be careful with. Because low creator supply doesn't automatically mean high buyer demand. You could have an empty room where the algorithm is handing out huge impression numbers.
True. But there's another variable that's harder to ignore: user context.
Exactly. Think about the difference. The person on TikTok might be lying on the couch looking for entertainment. The person scrolling LinkedIn is much more likely to be at work, thinking about their career, their company, their team, or a business problem.
And some of those people control budgets.
That's the key. 2,000 followers with purchasing authority can potentially be far more valuable than 50,000 people who followed you because one post went viral.
So follower count suddenly becomes a terrible measurement.
Unless you know who's behind the number.
And this is where Escobar's actual playbook becomes useful. The first 3 steps are fairly predictable. Fix the profile so people immediately understand what you do. Choose 3 or 4 clear content pillars. Then post 3 or 4 times a week for at least 90 days.
Nothing revolutionary yet.
No. Step 4 is the interesting one, the comment flywheel. Instead of spending all your time producing more posts, spend 20 to 30 minutes a day writing genuinely useful comments underneath larger creators in your industry.
Not great post.
Definitely not great insights, thanks for sharing.
And preferably not 3 paragraphs of obvious AI-generated corporate language.
Right. Add something. Challenge a point. Explain an implication. Give an example. Introduce a perspective the original post missed. Because now you're doing something very different. You're putting your expertise in front of an audience somebody else already built.
Without paying to reach them.
Think of it like an industry conference. There's 1,000 people listening to the keynote speaker. You stand up, make one genuinely sharp observation, and suddenly 20 people turn around to see who said it.
That's much more powerful than posting into an empty room and hoping the algorithm finds you.
And then comes step 5. Send 5 to 10 DMs a week to people you've already interacted with. But don't pitch them.
That's important.
The DM isn't the beginning of the relationship, it's the continuation of one that already started publicly.
Which completely changes the dynamic. Instead of, "Hi, we help businesses like yours increase revenue. Can we schedule 15 minutes?" They've already seen your thinking. Maybe they've replied to you. Maybe they've read 3 of your posts. Maybe they've silently watched you for months.
And that's where trust starts compounding. But here's the problem. If this works, everybody eventually figures it out.
Which is why Escobar argues the LinkedIn opportunity could look very different within the next 12 to 18 months. More creators arrive, content supply increases, organic reach gets harder, the easy arbitrage disappear.
You agree with that?
Partly. I think average content will get crushed, but I don't think the opportunity disappears.
What's the difference?
The bar moves. Right now, when so much business content sounds identical, simply sounding like an intelligent human being can make you stand out. That advantage won't last.
Because AI makes average content essentially unlimited.
Exactly. So the next advantage won't be posting more, it'll be knowing something worth saying. Specific experience, original data, a real opinion you can defend, a lesson you paid to learn, something another person can't reproduce by typing a prompt.
Which means maybe the lesson here isn't actually move everything to LinkedIn.
I don't think it is. The bigger lesson is that creators need to stop asking, "Where can I get the most followers?" and start asking, "Where are the people who can actually act on what I'm saying?"
Because 10,000 followers you can't reach, can't convert, and don't own might be less valuable than 500 people who genuinely trust you.
And there's an even bigger problem hiding underneath all of this.
Every one of these audiences belongs to the platform.
Exactly. TikTok can change distribution, Instagram can reduce reach, LinkedIn can change its feed tomorrow, YouTube can change recommendations. You don't control any of it.
Which leaves one uncomfortable question. If your entire business depends on an audience you're borrowing from somebody else's platform,
Are you actually building an audience?
or are you just renting a crowd until the landlord changes the locks?
And that's what we need to tackle next. Because getting attention is only step 1. The next question is how you turn rented attention into something you actually own.